Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nikita, welcome to the CRYPTUS channel, and today we're going to talk about NFT markets and social media platforms on Web3. And to make this conversation or make this video more exciting, we made sure to invite really important guests and speakers from the space we're going to talk about. So please welcome the Yuser Network, and more precisely the CEO Unica Sod and the CEO and CTO Thomas Senmark. So guys, hello, really nice to meet you here.
Nikita, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Maybe I should do a little introduction to what Yuser Network actually is. It is an NFT marketplace combined with a social media platform which runs on the blockchain of Moonbeam and on Moonriver, if I understood everything correct. And they have a really strong team, backers, partners, like for example Moonbeam themselves, and which is one of the top voted pirate chains on the moment, as it was in Kusama, so it is right now on Moonbeam and Kusama. Maybe you wanted to tell us something more about your project, just so people get to know it a little bit. Introduce yourselves, please.
Sure. Tom, do you want to take the reign as the CEO and founder?
Sure, yeah. Well, thanks so much for having us, by the way. And kudos to doing this series, because I think what you guys are doing is a really great service to the entire community. As co-founder of Yuser, one of our mission and mandates that we came up with originally when we started this project was to make sure that we created a project for the community, by the community. So we're really kind of a grassroots project turned into a company that really has a vision or a plan that's really well integrated into the crypto DeFi space in general and what it offers to the world. We're really hardcore believers in the premise that DeFi technology can really help to not only disrupt industries, but help to revolutionize the world. Much like the internet was able to decentralize communication, we believe decentralizing finance is now having that similar effect to the internet. And it really was kind of the missing layer to the internet that we're now just starting to see come to fruition. So Yuser itself is a platform for creators and collectors by creators and collectors. So we're not only just artists, musicians, creatives, content creators, and collectors ourselves, but in every which stage of kind of our own professional careers, we very much so have been involved with the networking and developing products and services for these types of communities. So Yuser itself is a social NFT marketplace, like you said, with the added kind of spin that at every twist and turn of the design of this product, we are actually implementing features that benefit the community, because it's all about community. We really believe that although social networks are great and have provided, huge opportunities for, everybody's 15 minutes of fame, they really haven't been economically fair. And so that's really what we've set out to do, is to create a social network that is also economically fair to all those that contribute to the growth of the platform.
Awesome. And we will definitely go more in depth about how Yuser is going to work, what unique mechanisms there will be. But before we begin, just so you don't miss out the really important part, I wanted to mention that Yuser has a Genesis NFT sale running right now at the moment of shooting the video, and when you will see it. There are a total of 10,000 unique NFTs which you can get on the Yuser platform right now. And the sale ends on the 24th of November. Am I right here with the date?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 24th of November.
So the sale, I'll tell you a little bit more about the sale. It started on November 9th, and within 2 hours we sold out. We sold almost 2,000 NFTs. It was very fast. Up to this date, we sold about half of the supply, and then the rest remains. On the 24th, the sale is going to end. And no matter what happens, there's not going to be any more supply available at that point. I just wanted to let everybody know that actually one of the exciting things is that we launched the sale for the public. For a week now, the sale has been private, so you had to have a user account in order to be able to participate and be invited to the app via our Discord. So if somebody wants to sign up to the user currently, they have to head to our Discord and get invited. That is the current process, because app is still in beta, it's still invite only. However, right now the NextGems Sale is public. All you have to do is to head to our website, user.co/nextgems, and then you can purchase.
Yeah, we'll leave the links in the description, and then we can come back to this more in depth for the people who are like extremely interested. But I would propose that we start with the first question, and so we'll come like a little bit more from the far in the terms of NFTs. The first big question, what does NFT personally mean to you? Because I reckon Yuser is a platform made first of all for artists, not for NFTs that will be used in metaverses or something like not utility tokens basically. And what does NFT define for you? Why do you think people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on NFTs while others don't understand it? So what is the key point there for you?
Well, NFTs are kind of a way of recognizing your claim and status to something, right? I mean, originally NFTs were created as an idea that we could use tokens to represent unique things, right? So it could represent a deed on a house, it could represent your ownership of a car, or it could represent the ownership of a piece of art. And what started to happen in late 2017 when CryptoKitties kind of blew up is I think everybody part of the DeFi space started to understand that this thing could really begin to represent artwork in a really truly incredible way. Not just artwork in the sense of like just a pure digital asset, but any type of asset that can be traded in a video game, that can be traded in a marketplace, that somebody can use in their product, in merchandise, et cetera, et cetera. So I think back in the 1990s, this is going to date me, there was an attempt to create something, a digital rights management software. And that digital rights management software was created by big corporations that wanted to make sure that their content was controlled, right, in a way that they could make sure that people couldn't steal it. Well, the internet was great in that it provided us all an opportunity to share things, right? But what I saw as an artist musician myself is it became pretty easy to get known pretty quickly online. But it steadily became increasingly difficult for us to monetize our content. And that's because as soon as content got online, as soon as it became digital, it became easy to steal, right? It became easy for anybody to just grab it and even claim that it's theirs, right? So what the blockchain does and what NFTs do is they help to provide a few different benefits, but one is really a ledger, kind of a history that can detail who exactly owns or has created what and who has the rights to what. And it's still possible to just steal somebody's work from an NFT and claim that it's your own and post it online. But once a significant portion of the population has now moved to posting their content online as an NFT or sharing content, digital assets from a video game, et cetera, as an NFT, now there's a kind of universal ledger, kind of like Wikipedia, that kind of says who owns what and who created what, right? That we can all kind of share and point to, where we don't necessarily have to rely on big corporations to tell us, oh, well, Disney owns this and Fox owns this, right? Now you as a self-independent publisher can put out media and you have this sort of universal ledger that can back you up to say, yeah, this is my work. I created it and I'm the one that should fairly benefit from it. And that's just the first step. The next step is, of course, being able to use the tools of tokens to automate things like royalties, right? Getting a kickback for the work that you share online. So one of the really cool things is that we're going to see a evolution or revolution in spaces like music, where it's been incredibly difficult to monetize your work online because people can just share it. And so instead of like, scalping where people, can take tickets and sell them in a secondary market, what you can do now is you can encourage people to buy your work and sell it, but you'll automatically get a cut from that because of the royalty that's programmed into the token and the blockchain that ensures that anytime somebody goes to sell your work, you now get a cut. So you're incentivizing people to sell your work now, and yet you still get a cut from that. So it's flipping. In many ways, it takes a little bit of a mind flip or a paradigm shift to get your head around it. but from all the artists, musicians, and content creators that we're talking to, they're really starting to understand the huge benefit of now utilizing blockchain to empower themselves to take advantage of the huge distributed communication network of the internet to their advantage, right?
I just wanted to add one thing. For us personally, this really matters, and you can tell by how passionately Tom is talking about that
Of
space.
course.
It's because we are creators. Tom, like you mentioned, he's a musician. I'm a writer. We started in creative fields, and we want to continue, but we also see and face every day the reality of not being able to get where you want to be in terms of being able to monetize your content as a creator, unless maybe you're super famous already online and have audience. And that's when it comes to things like book deals, the major book deals are for people who already are famous online. Like it's kind of like a running joke almost within the publishing industry that if you have a 50,000 or 100,000 followers on Twitter, sure you can get published. But if you don't have any platform, why are you expecting the publishing house to do all the marketing for you? So it's like they're not really publishing the best works. They're publishing whoever is popular and topical at the moment, and it's just kind of how the space has shifted. But it becomes really, really hard if all you want to focus on is not really like promoting yourself, but creative work. And that is something that we see as really detrimental to the arts. And this is why we decided to start Yuser.
And as a writer and as a musician, so basically as creators, how big do you think the potential of NFT markets could grow in the next couple of years in the future? How is it going to look like?
I think that there is a lot of roadblocks still in terms of usability. I think that's one of the biggest problems because cryptocurrency can be a little scary for a lot of people. Things like sending transactions, MetaMask, where's the pop-up? Where do I find, my information in Etherscan or Blockscout? Is this like long hashes? It's very overwhelming for somebody who's not familiar with the space. So where we see this space really take off is if there are products that are going to make people use cryptocurrency in a way that they don't have to actually think that they're using it. It's just there for them. And there is a little bit more of a sort of hand-holding situation so that they can feel more comfortable. And I think that that's where things are really going to take off. But it's going to still take some time for this technology to mature.
Yeah, like in many respects, cryptocurrency, DeFi technologies have application even in various developing world communities. There's a lot of potential to empower different types of communities, but right now what we really need to see is an improved UX or user interface to these types of technologies before we start to see increased adoption.
And well, basically you've made a completely new project from scratch. You build it by yourself, and you're talking about the UX right now. So is it the only thing that needs to be improved, or do you see any bigger problems in existing NFT marketplaces, so maybe that could be handled better?
Yeah, absolutely. Discoverability is one, and it's huge, right? Even discoverability within the NFT community. As Unika was talking about, one of the reasons why we decided to work on creating an NFT social marketplace and why we'd like to see more of them created is because the discoverability and ease of use of social applications has increased the adoption of internet-based technologies and mobile phones by an incredible margin, right? So it's these types of applications that are going to see not only a growth in adoption of the technology, but they're going to see a sudden growth in the discoverability of artists, creators, asset creators, etc., and even collectors within this space. And so that's why the two kind of really fit very well together. The monetizability of an NFT marketplace and the discoverability and ease of use of social networks. Now, social networks are progressively becoming the storefront, right? And that's really cool and exciting. And we really do believe that commerce is moving to a place where it's going to be where sociability is online, right? It's kind of like the mall, right? The online mall.
Yeah.
So.
One example that I always like to bring up is Twitter, because right now most of the sort of buzz around NFTs is happening on Twitter. And I find it very interesting because Twitter isn't really a platform for creative content as in visual arts. It's more sort of, an update and news and, witty kind of sayings. Obviously you can submit a photo or something like that with your tweet, but It's not really created so much as a platform for visual arts. And I find it interesting how it really took off in terms of promoting NFTs and having that very strong NFT community on Twitter. And I think it's because of the viral factors that Twitter provides that some other social media networks do not anymore. Right now, if you want to become sort of famous or big on Instagram, you really have to have an external sort of driver of that growth. Big YouTube account, big Twitter account, other places, or a business with a front, where somebody can just kind of start following you on Instagram. Those types of things really will grow your Instagram following. But Instagram has really put roadblocks on growing just small accounts from within its own setup. And as such, it is a main platform for posting something like, art, for example, and it has in fact started with, creative content like photographers. And we really see that there is a gap within that space where you can, we need something. We need a place where people can share their creative content and it can be easily discovered, and there can be a conversation around it, but then straight from that same platform, they can actually be able to sell it. So this is kind of the place that we see ourselves fit in. A lot of other marketplaces, NFT marketplaces, are not really in the same space. They are more kind of curators of the content, like, OpenSea has their front page that they curate personally. For us, it's different. The hot feed is kind of the front page of Yuser, and it refreshes daily. And then in fact, you can customize it to yourself because you have your own account. So it depends on the accounts that you follow, and you can diversify the content that you see that way. And we think that ultimately that's where the space needs to go, because people are interested in various different types of content. And I don't see this also as fair, just trying to promote the biggest names. And I've seen this with many platforms. You have all these big artists starting to join the platforms, and then all of a sudden they're the only ones that are being promoted. I'm not going to name names here. I don't want to throw shade on anybody, but this is what happens across all these different marketplaces. And it's like, how is this fair for promoting artists who are just entering the space? It's not, and this is why they're on Twitter.
We'll definitely come back to the discoverability point a little bit later, because it's a really important issue, I guess, to 99% of the creators, the ones that are not famous yet. But returning to the technical point of view, you're basically the first NFT project to launch on Polkadot and Kusama, so on Moonbeam and Moonriver. Why did you choose these networks? So what benefits do they bring in terms for the user experience, which they wouldn't get on Binance Smart Chain or maybe Ethereum?
Yeah, well, we just I just want to take a moment to give kudos to the Moonbeam team for everything that they've done, starting the Moonriver blockchain, the Canary network, to their Moonbeam blockchain, which will be launching in short order. The technical problems that the entire decentralized finance space, as well as just the NFT community faces, is in fact the scalability of blockchain itself. So the technology is technically decentralized, or many blockchain systems are decentralized, and as a result often produce a lot of latency. That's because communication needs to happen through a much broader network than centralized servers or databases. And not only because of that, but because of some of the other technical challenges implementing, developing software for blockchain. There's often hurdles to adoption even within the technology community. There's a lot of startups that are very hesitant to develop on blockchain because of new languages or new testing that has to be done or implemented in order to get your projects up and going. Blockchain introduces a lot of complexity, period. So not just on the user experience end, but on the technology end. And so it's projects like Moonbeam actually and Polkadot that are helping to alleviate some of this complexity, especially when it comes to interoperability. And that's a term that gets thrown out a lot in the DeFi space. What does interoperability mean? It just means being able to take one thing from one platform to another, or one blockchain to another, or et cetera. And Polkadot, one of the reasons Polkadot emerged was to not only help with issues of scalability, but interoperability. And so what that means is, for everybody that knows the process of, you know, getting a currency and then having to go to a centralized or decentralized exchange and then swap them, that's often the barrier to entry for probably a huge portion of the population that's not even, doesn't even know that you have to do something like that right now. To be able to take one currency, go into a store and buy something and not have to worry about what currency I need it in to buy something, that is bottom line, probably one of the biggest barriers to adoption. So Polkadot and projects like Moonbeam are really trying to solve that by making sure that not only do we have one blockchain, but several blockchains that can all talk to each other, right? And can do it in a way that's scalable. And so it does it really primarily by doing two different things. One, Polkadot is actually a relay chain. It's not its own blockchain, essentially. It essentially is a framework for other blockchains to be developed and run through and communicate through the relay chain. And so that's Moonbeam is one of those blockchains. So the Canary network, Moonriver, which has been launched, is great because it offers that opportunity. But on top of that, one really cool thing about Moonbeam that makes it really good for developers is that it actually makes it really easy to take any of your Ethereum code and get up and running on Moonbeam. So that reduces obstacles for developers that have already had to learn Solidity and how to write your smart contracts, you know, and make them work within the Ethereum community, the EVM. Now you can just take those and deploy those on Moonriver and soon eventually Moonbeam. So that's significantly going to help with not only adoption of Polkadot as an ecosystem, but we're going to see now the Polkadot ecosystem really benefit the rest of the entire decentralized finance community, let alone NFT space, to increase adoption, both from developers, creators, collectors, traders, etc.
And the EVM compatibility, will there be also a way for artists who already deploy their NFTs, for example, on Ethereum, to bridge their assets from Ethereum to the Yuser network? Will it be possible?
It definitely will be possible in time. Mm-hmm. There's a number of projects working on bridges right now. Of course, if you're familiar in the space and know some of these other projects that are developing bridges between, you know, Ethereum and other blockchains, there are lots of different efforts right now being put towards creating bridges between, you know, Moonriver or any of the Polkadot blockchains and Ethereum, et cetera, so that you can take your NFT from one blockchain to another. Some of them work a little bit differently, but one of the most common scenarios is being able to like exchange your NFT for a newly minted NFT on another blockchain, while the other one kind of gets frozen in kind of escrow, essentially. And so if you decide ever to take your NFT back from the new blockchain to the old blockchain, you could, and it would essentially destroy the one NFT and unfreeze the existing NFT that you had put in escrow. So there are a lot of different ways about going about doing it. That's one of them. And we're really excited to see what happens in the space. We're working with some projects right now to try to speed up the process, because we would love to have this available for our users within the Yuser ecosystem.
A lot of artists that kind of came to Yuser are, like you say, they're familiar with OpenSea. Tezos is another big one. Hackathon, that's another platform that's really favored by artists. So for various different reasons, and a lot of people are asking us, can I bridge my NFTs from Ethereum or from Tezos to Moonriver or Moonbeam? Right now, it's not something that's possible. But again, like, this is a very, very important part that we want to that we're discussing actively with other projects and trying to see which solution we would like to actually end up using, because I think we had a conversation with at least 3 or 4 teams that are actually working on the solution.
All right, so right now the users will just need to wait a little bit until the functionality will be available, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. And regarding the other aspect, the social networks, or maybe the decentralized social networks, as we may call them in Web3, have you got any personal vision of how they need to look like, or maybe what components will they be built of to be complete Web3 social media networks?
Absolutely. Identity is probably the biggest component. We talk a lot about content, and it's undoubtedly the secondary most important thing, but the most important thing that we haven't yet universally tackled and being able to solve is how to handle identity. And this comes from a perspective of knowing exactly how your data is being stored, where it's being stored, who has what rights to it, and what do I get for it, for sharing it, right? Which is really the conversation that needs to happen now, which is people have been used to sharing their data with social networks for so long now and developing relationships and then sharing content on their social networks. But the question that everybody needs to start having in their heads is, should I be getting something back for all of this, right? What should I be getting back for all of this? And really, it starts with your data, your personal identity your data that's associated with your personal identity, right? That first and foremost needs to not only be protected, but you should probably be rewarded for sharing it with different applications because it has value, right? We're used to this idea that your data just kind of doesn't have value. But that's completely false. It's a completely false premise. It's only because we haven't had the technology to be able to create this permission-based system and easily allow people to monetize their data that we haven't been able to think about it. And in fact, to kind of back that claim up with, well, we can do this, right? So first and foremost, identity needs to be protected, and your data is valuable. You need to be rewarded for sharing that, whether that's your own personal data, your username, your profile, credentials, information, attributes, let alone the content that you share and the relationships that you build. So we need to try to work towards a future where all of these have permission checks around them, but also that there is the potential for systems to reward you for joining a platform, sharing your data, and building relationships and sharing content.
I think one of the interesting parallels, just one quick point, I like to think about it sort of when you transfer cryptocurrency, there's sort of you and the blockchain, that's what you're interacting with wallet to wallet. And there's that peer-to-peer system where you don't need, except for the network, you don't need an external validator. Like let's say, for example, if you're processing something with Visa and they're validating your monetary transactions. And I think that, you know, when it comes to data, right now, who are the validators of your data? It's Google and Facebook. We know that we use social logins for our own application, and you know we would prefer to have that data stored in a token where people actually can give us permission to use that. So that's what we see as the future of storing data, that you have to or decentralized networks have to be custodians of your data in the same way as they're are able to process transactions. This is still something that's in the future, but I just think it's an interesting parallel to think about how these networks, I mean, these platforms such as Facebook and Google, they make use of your data and what they do with it. It's interesting because people normally don't think about it in that sense. Most of the time, they're just kind of like, oh, this is useful because I can just like click one button and then I can connect with this app. I don't have to do these extra steps. But why? It's because you've given everything that you have to that platform so they can actually provide that check for you. Is this really the most optimal way of doing things? I just some thoughts that I want to put out there because we think about this all the time.
Well, let's bring all the thoughts to basically your project of how you have done this. So to the Yuser Network, let's go like more in depth to the project, how it's going to work, what's the idea behind it. And maybe you could, in like literally 4 to 5 sentences, as just basically an intro, tell us what Yuser is going to provide the user. So I mean this in the context of what functionality is going to be there, what we could do as a user.
Yeah, for sure. So first and foremost, Yuser functions very similar to other social networks in that you can create an account, you can share content, and you can build an audience. But more importantly, we have mechanisms to help start monetizing. And as the platform evolves, we're going to continue to add monetizing tools to make sure that you can be empowered as a content creator, but also a collector and a marketer of content. So The really cool thing that we have right now is that we've launched the NFT marketplace, which allows you as a content creator to mint your content and begin to sell it within the marketplace. But additionally, what we decided to do is we wanted to change the way that people value content, because valuing content with a like is a very interesting exercise, right? Liking something, not liking something, liking something, not liking something. It's a very binary choice, right? And not only that, the content creator doesn't initially get anything for that like, other than this sort of like adrenaline, you know, or endorphin rush, right? Oh, cool, I got a lot of likes, that's great. So what we wanted to do is kind of flip that paradigm and say, why don't we introduce like a mechanic or a reward system that allows our users to take from a pool of tokens, and right now they're internal tokens, and then begin to distribute those to the content creators on the network. And so that's what we did. They're actually known as gems. And so as you join the platform, you earn a certain amount of gems for just using the app, and then you can distribute those to other users on the platform. So the gem mechanic has been working out really well. People love it. And that's actually what we're building towards now, is introducing a external gem diamond token that people will be able to stake their internal gem tokens to exchange for. And we're really excited about that. And we believe that other platforms are really going to take benefit from having a token that's based within this reward system. And that's, when we're talking about identity, that's where we're going with this. We want to make sure that there are new systems of value for users and collectors and developers and marketers and businesses that can all help share and take advantage of the rewards that attention of a social network can bring. And so future features will integrate merchandising opportunities with gems, lots of other opportunities for developers to take advantage of gems to use as that reward mechanism for sharing things like identity, data, and then of course content.
And before we can get the rewards, we first of all, like, of course, needs to create the content. And the first simple content will be NFTs. And how hard or how easy will it be for a user to create an NFT on your social platform? So will they need to create their own wallet, and or how is it going to work? Or have you already solved this problem for them?
Yes. So there are new forms of minting and content creation process that we're continuing to refine and work on. But our first iteration actually involves the ability to just post anything to the mobile app if you want, or post anything within the web app, which we just recently launched, user beta, which is at user.co, yuser.co. You post content much like you would to any other social network, and then you have the option to mint the media content as an NFT. And so as you're posting, you now have the ability to kind of fill out all the kind of extra details and information that you might want to market the media content of your post as a marketplace item that people can buy. So people that are familiar with OpenSea probably won't see too big of a difference, but we're trying to make it even easier than, say, posting your content to OpenSea. You will currently be required to use MetaMask within the web app to actually mint an NFT, because we'll be connecting to your existing wallet that you have within through MetaMask. So.
One of the interesting, no, I just want to say that one of the interesting things about Yuser is that we started as a mobile app first. So a lot of platforms, they start with web. It's obviously the component where you connect to MetaMask. It's a lot easier to handle through the browser extension. So we do have a web app now, but I think it's important for us, especially from a perspective of the social media, that people use social media on mobile. So we wanted to make sure that we have an app that actually is easy to use. One of the problems with selling something like an NFT through a mobile application is a lot of people who are not kind of like specific in the space don't know that, but Apple and Google, they charge like upwards of 30% for distributing digital content through the application that's shared in App Store or Play Store. Those regulations are, might be changing. There's a lawsuit going on around that right now. However, that's the reason why, for example, Spotify can't even market how you pay for subscription for Spotify, because you're purchasing digital content, right? And we are facing kind of the same issues. The sales of NFTs will not be able to fully happen via the mobile app. However, people would still be able to monitor their auctions and their ongoing sales via user mobile app. So we think it's a very cool use case.
Great, great. I did download the app. It's really cool for the iOS. And so basically, people will be able just to post regular content, and or they will have the opportunity to post the same content but as an NFT. And will they be also do the same thing? Like, for example, yeah, I'm just on mobile right now. I'm posting maybe some picture, and I want to turn it after I posted it as a normal picture into an NFT later. Will that be able to do this?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Currently, yeah, you'll have to do it within the web app. So if for whatever reason you've posted content to the mobile app, you'll have to switch over to the web app to actually add the NFT minting process. But outside of that, yes.
I think it's also a very interesting point, because what I see happening is that a lot of people would want to test, is this good enough? Is this content something that people like? If something starts to trend and acquires a lot of gems and comments and people seem to love it, and then there is already offers, in comments, I want to buy this, I want to buy this. The price for that might be very different than if somebody just posted something, saying like, oh, can I sell this? So we see these kind of mechanics of engagement as also providing benefit to artists in terms of valuing their work.
And in terms of, so the value doesn't disappear basically. What part of the social media platform, or what part of the data is basically stored on the blockchain on-chain itself, and what data does go maybe to some centralized database? Because even on NFTs, like for example on Ethereum, a lot of it goes to some database, like metadata of the NFT. How did you basically handle this thing? Oh, wait, I want to sum up the question, please. Basically, if all this centralized part is gone, what will be the user left with on the blockchain?
Okay, so sorry, are you asking what parts do we currently store in a centralized database as opposed to blockchain? Yeah, okay. So currently, if you make a social media post, just a regular post to user, that gets stored within our centralized database. But as soon as you decide to mint the media content for it, that now gets stored within the blockchain. If you mint the media content, we now send sort of what's called JSON metadata of that NFT that represents the media content itself. So the URL to the file, etc. We send that off to IPFS, which is essentially the blockchain's version of decentralized file storage. So all the metadata for the NFT now gets passed off to the IPFS, and that ensures that the content and the data associated with it lives on beyond just user and beyond the confines of just user.
The other important part to mention is that we also created the 10K generative avatar project, not only because we wanted to test out how our NFT marketplace was going to work, but because we wanted to give people utility within the app. So NextGems, when they're minted, they live on the blockchain as well, but they have use case within the app. So there's a communication going on to make sure that these NFTs can give you things like verified status on the network, that you can have gemstone hodling rewards. So if you are a holder of NextGems, you will be getting gemstones within our own application that will in turn allow you to stake more gems and get gem diamond rewards, which is another token that's going to be stored externally on the blockchain. So we are kind of right now, as it stands, we're skating both worlds. There's a lot of components that are happening within our own database, which we use Neo4j. It's a graph database. It's very interesting as well, and we find it actually very interesting to try to figure out how to best communicate between the graph and blockchain. But we ultimately, the goal is to decentralize as much as possible. So the way we built our infrastructure is to make sure that as these tools become more available, we are able to take these tokens and these assets and basically decentralize the entire application.
As a developer, what do you think, how much time will it probably take? I think it's tens of years before all the data can go onto the blockchain directly itself. So everything on the blockchain. Do you have any thoughts about it?
Absolutely. Well, we've actually done a lot of testing and development with research grants that have allowed us to test out the future of 5G networks. And you might not think about it, but 5G networks are going to have a huge impact on the future of decentralized blockchain. So one of the issues that we currently face with the internet is everybody's experiences. They've gone to a festival and they've tried to take pictures at the festival and then upload those to Instagram or Twitter or whatever. And it's like, it just takes forever. Yeah. And that's because existing 4G, 3G networks, et cetera, have been incredibly slow. And so if you think about it, the decentralized blockchain world, at least, is comprised of computers that are all connected together. Well, that network is only as fast as the connections between all those computers, right?
Yeah.
And obviously right now we're in the process of using all sorts of centralized systems to offset the slow and scalability issues that are impacting the speed and scalability issues that are impacting blockchain networks. But essentially what's going to happen over the next 10 years is we're going to see an incredible influx of computers that are now all connecting. And I'm not just talking about a desktop computer, I'm talking about mobile devices, smart devices, et cetera, that are all now connecting at much, much, much faster speeds. That is going to decrease the latencies of these huge networks that are connected together. So we'll also see the birth of probably new intranets, so smaller versions of the internet where computers can all communicate with each other in a slightly more centralized fashion. These are all going to have incredible physical impacts on the nature of decentralized blockchain. So it's often overlooked aspect of what's actually going to help to increase the possibility of one day having very decentralized data across the board. So for me, that's the most interesting part, especially when it comes to the ability to communicate between any type of device, whether it's a smart device, et cetera. Because if you think about it, we now live within the possibility that with AI and blockchain, we could one day have a car that is a valet for us and several other people. And in fact, just works for us as a, sort of independent actor, right? So while I'm at work, the car can go pick up other people and it can serve as an Uber all through the blockchain without requiring Uber or any other, sort of business service, right? And say I'm at home, right? And I'm sleeping, the car can now go out with its budgeted allowance and now spend to get more energy from the grid so that it can fulfill all its duties during the day, right? Well, it's going to need, really good connectivity to do all those types of things, just like with everything else, right?
Now we got really into the future.
Yeah, interesting.
Those are the kinds of things that we think about.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Actually, I love it when people are like really excited about what's going to come, and I do believe that this is the future. This is like literally the next few years. So yeah.
One of the biggest problems, and as Tom mentioned, is those latencies. That's the key thing, because they add up, and we always have this issue right now. People are just so used to things being immediate, where in fact they're not, because of this magic world asynchronous. Everything is asynchronous. So you see your content post, but if your content is actually big, it's not posted, it's not shared. Like, let's say, for example, your Instagram stories, we're like, oh, my stories is posted. And in fact, if you actually check at the bottom, no, it is pending. So it takes, it can take up to a few minutes to actually post your story. So, but the way it's handled through the interface, it actually looks like it's immediate. So for a lot of these media content uploads, that's kind of how it's handled. So people are used to this immediate experience. However, it's not. It's kind of just like a framework for people to actually interact with and see. So people don't understand to what extent those latencies actually are a major roadblock to the technology just going where it needs to go.
Especially when we're talking about things like going into a store and buying a loaf of bread. Imagine if your transaction failed, right? As it can on Ethereum, et cetera, or it's pending for 40 minutes.
It's like, man, I can't buy this bread.
That's what are you gonna do? I'm going to take this loaf of bread and I'll come back if the transaction fails. All right.
That's the question I had initially when Salvador had Bitcoin as their native basically currency near to the dollar, because I was wondering how are they going to do it. It's great for the news that they did it, but I don't think it's going to work like literally with the payment on because
We'll see.
Bitcoin
It's
a
a
few
great
hours
experiment.
yeah of
Well,
course
I think those things can work for big purchases when you're not rushing or anything like this. Like, but right now for those very, very small things, when the network is clogged up, and that's what happens as well, right? Like if there is such an influx of people, like imagine rush hour. Everybody's going to the store, everybody wants that purchase. And what is going to happen if the network usage suddenly goes 300, 400%, like it literally happened the other day on Moon River. Like that's, you have to have processes to be able to handle those things. And
Yeah.
of course.
We're still early.
Yeah, definitely. But coming back to the gems, I've read the docs that were publicly available. So as I understood, there are gem rocks. This is like the smallest currency. There are gemstones, and there are gem diamonds. Could you maybe for the audience, which probably did not read the docs, just tell how they're basically combined with each other and how they flow from one to each other?
Totally. So gem rocks are the gems that you get for just using the app. And they are essentially kind of your fuel for using the application. So for making posts, adding hashtags, you need to actually spend rocks. To gift to other people, you need to spend rocks. And then as soon as you do, those get you access to features. But when you give them to other people for the content that they create, liking on users, gifting, right? Then they become gemstones. And as you accumulate gemstones, now you actually have a commodity. We do have merchandising that will be coming to Yuser that you'll actually be able to spend gemstones on. And we're not just talking about our own merchandise, we're talking about merchandise from multiple companies and other businesses, et cetera. They'll all be able to accept gemstones. Now, as a user, you're also going to be able to stake your gemstones for actually earning gem diamonds. Now, gem diamonds are going to be the external token. Right now, we just have a sidechain with our gems, but we're introducing gem diamonds onto a decentralized blockchain. And so the ability to earn right now gemstones and stake them for earning gem diamonds is obviously, huge, of huge interest to a lot of our user community right now.
So to sum up, basically, I'm the user of Yuser, and you just posted some content. I've got gem rocks, and I want to like your content. I can contribute up to 1,000, basically 2,000 gem rocks for you. And for you, they're instantly turning into gemstones. I can turn them into gemstones for myself. This is the key point, which I think should be noted for the guys watching. Am I right here? Yeah, good.
That's something that I often bring up because some people find it confusing, but I think that there's an easy analogy. So when we designed the system, we were thinking about how online advertising works, and a lot of people are familiar with kind of like a pay-per-click. So what you're actually paying for is attention. So when you're liking something on social media, it's the attention that makes it valuable. That's why you spend I don't know, a few seconds to actually appreciate this content and give it something. So from our end, we thought these gem rocks, they don't really have any value except as a pool of things that you can give to somebody. Well, now that you appreciate their content, you actually engaged with it, that value has been assigned to it. So it kind of works in the same way as CPM advertising. And then that's why all of a sudden those gemstones are something that's already kind of has value assigned to it. So I like to always kind of bring it back to how we think how online advertising actually works, because it's an easy analogy for people to be like, am I actually getting something of value because somebody appreciated my content? It doesn't only have to be advertising. It works for any type of digital content.
And how long will it take for the rocks to replenish? Like I had, for example, when I register 50,000 gem rocks and I've spent them all in a day. How long should I wait until I've got these 50K again?
Wow, you spent quite a bit. They regenerate every 24 hours right now. We're increasing the cycle of regeneration slowly, but they replenish every 24 hours. Yeah.
All right, good. And also in terms of the social interaction, I reckon there will be also in Yuser some kind of a chat app, so you can just write messages to each other, right?
So we do actually already have a chat app. You can chat from within the user with everybody who's on the platform.
Great.
And we also have actually one thing I'm going to mention. We also have rewards for inviting other people to the app, because right now the way it works is that you can be invited through our own Discord. So that's how you can get a user account. But you can also be invited by a friend, and if a person that you're inviting signs up, you're both going to get gemstones.
Gemstones, nice. And let's go to the tokenomics. So the important thing for the audience, I guess, are the gem diamonds, just because these are the most valuable tokens, which will be also traded on the original chain. And it did not have its TGE yet, so no token generation event. Am I right here?
No, currently we're still working on the private sale for gem diamonds. And then shortly after, we'll be moving towards a pre-sale and then a public sale. And TGA is yet to be announced. But yeah, we're working with a supply of 100 million gem diamond tokens. And there will be, as I mentioned, a few different rounds first of token sales before we reach TGA.
But that's really good, because all the people watching this video right now basically are really early in. That's the key point why I'm asking.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And also in terms of inflation, all users get gem rocks for free, basically, which they can eventually turn to gemstones, and then they can be staked in order to earn gem diamonds. What if is there any mechanism to fight the inflation? Because eventually users will continue, and the supply of the gem rocks will be higher.
Absolutely. So gemstones don't just convert from gemstones to gem diamonds. So there is actually a formula that we've created to handle that conversion. And we are actually in the talks with other application developers. We have one that we're about to announce as a partner soon that will be coming on and using their own formula of which to generate that conversion. Essentially what we're doing is we're building a broader network of applications that are all going to share gem diamonds, and Yuser is just the flagship application for that broader network. And so we'll be getting a pool of gem diamonds to reward our users, much like other applications. And so it's up to us to determine the formula conversion based on engagement, based on the amount of time that you've been holding stones, the amount of time that you've been a user, a member of the user flagship application, to then how that's going to convert over to gem diamonds. So as the economy grows and changes, so will the conversion rates.
So basically making tons of accounts just in order to gift one account the gem rocks is not a good idea. It won't work. Just to cut this up here. That's really not a good idea.
Your gem rock supply is also probably going to plummet. So,
all right. And how does basically with the token sales coming, will there also be some public sales out for the community, so the community could participate like early in the token?
Yep,
for
absolutely.
the gem diamonds.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we're just going through the process of the private sale right now. And then we're going to have a pre-sale that will be open to essentially a whitelisted wallet community that we're going to attract. And then we're going to have a public sale. We may end up having 2 pre-sales, so I will disclaim that, but there will be a public sale. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And in terms of ambassador and program and community, if someone wants to help the project, do something for them, is there still a chance to get in as an ambassador, or is it already too late because you're literally launching right now?
No, so it's not too late. Right now we have ambassador forms posted in our Discord. I can also give you links to share, under this video if people would like to submit. So we already have a lot of ambassadors, a very engaged community, which we're super grateful for. It's very exciting also, maybe for your audience, because a lot of our community is Russian, and we have a very engaged Russian community. That's why we're also talking. We want to make sure that Russian community has a lot of information that is relevant about our application, because there are there's a lot of early adopters within that community. There's people from all over the world, but we've seen that very, very prominently within the last few months, especially. So there's a lot of interest, and yes, the ambassador program is still ongoing. It's still growing. We are not going to be kind of closing it off. However, there are different rules that and different things that ambassadors have to do in order to remain within the ambassador crew.
All right. And are there maybe any sneak peeks or maybe some secret infos you would like to share with the community? Maybe some coming, I don't know, something they could look forward to for in the future.
Absolutely. One of the big things to keep in mind is that we're starting a digital marketplace for NFTs, right? So one of the big things for the community to keep in mind, wink, wink, is that we're going to be providing a lot of opportunities for not just creators, but collectors to take their NFT content and sell them in the form of merchandise. We really do believe that one of the big next steps for NFTs in the NFT community is the move into merchandising, because as we're all just buying and selling artwork that we now potentially own the IP rights to, the ability to now take that content and monetize it in a way to the rest of the world is really going to accelerate the adoption and the feasibility, like the economic feasibility of this really becoming something that people can now, you know, start running businesses with, right?
And this is why also, just to continue Tom's point, this is also why for our NextGems avatars, we decided to do something which we haven't really seen done very much within the generative projects, providing people with actual drawing SVG assets for NextGems. So people are not only purchasing a PNG and they're not only getting these rewards within the app, but they're also getting a full drawing file with all the layers that went into complete that specific NextGem that they purchased. And then they can use that vector file to do whatever they want with. There's going to be a contract that's actually accessible straight from the app as well that gives people all the rights to their content that they've purchased. And they can, you know, blow it up to the size of a billboard if they want to, because that's the beauty of vectors and not just, you know, a PNG asset. One thing that I'm going to mention also in relation to what Tom pointed out is that it's very important for us, being a social application, to not only feature people who are creating content, to not only provide rewards and utility for those who are, you know, artists or content creators, but also those who are the collectors, who are tastemakers of this space, right? We see this kind of as the other side of the coin. You have to have people who are engaging with that content, and there has to be usability for those people as well. So we're also working on those types of features, and there will be more kind of information coming soon about how these kind of communities are handled. I'm gonna say that.
Awesome. So we'll leave all the links for the social media and so on under this video so that people can track everything what's coming up new. And maybe coming back to the NextGems sale, could you please tell about it more in details, or just the people remember it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead?
I can go. Yeah, so I just wanted to restate that we relaunched our website. So the sale is now open to the public. If you go to user.co/nextgems, you'll be able to see the NextGems Sale interface. You have to make sure that you are on Moonriver blockchain, because NextGems have been deployed on Moonriver. And you have to have Mover tokens to be able to purchase. Right now, Mover is the currency of the Yuser app and Yuser NFT marketplace. So that's what purchases need to be completed with. As of, you know, recording this video, there's about half the supply left. However, we are finishing the sale on the 24th of November, no matter what happens. And the reason for that is because NextGems are only one component of Yuser. As we've discussed, Yuser is a robust platform with a mobile application, NFT marketplace coming, and we want to make sure that we're focusing on the next step, a next milestone to be accomplished, which is the launch of the full open NFT marketplace, which is going to happen only after we are able to close this sale. So this is why the last day for the sale is the 24th of November, and past that point, the remaining tokens are going to be burned.
Yeah. So
Oh,
Tom
and the
told
price for NextGems is half a mover.
half a mover, so about 150 bucks right now. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so time was left until the 24th, so the links will be again left in the description. And so, yeah, maybe you will, that's it for the questions for me. Maybe you wanted to add something to the conversation, maybe tell something from yourself, which you would like to all the audience to know.
Tom, do you have anything?
Sure. I will actually be releasing an album as an NFT in the not too distant future through Yuser's NFT marketplace. A lot of people have been asking what my first NFT will be, and I've always said this, and it remains to be true, that my first NFT will be launched through the Yuser NFT marketplace.
Awesome.
That's amazing. That's why
That's
you related
amazing.
all your content on Yuser to start fresh. One thing that I would like to add is that I'm going to be speaking at Decentral Miami on the 29th and I think it's the 29th and 30th, or no, the 30th and the 1st of December. So the conference is happening in Miami. I'm going to be there. Tom is going to be there as well. I'm going to be on one of the panels and talking more sort of about DeFi as opposed to NFTs, although the conference is about NFT and DeFi. So if there are any community members that are going to be, hitting Miami around that time, come say hi. I might have very interesting things to give away to people. Maybe there's some little perks. So if there's anybody who's listening to this that is going to participate at the conference, make sure to find me and say hi.
Yeah. So Miami.
Yeah.
Well,
warm, right?
yeah.
I don't know about St. Petersburg, but it's snowing in Canada today, like where we are. Not even though it's very early in the year.
No, we've got like this autumn weather right now, a little bit. Not so cold, not warm really, but yeah. But anyways, I want to say you a really big thank you from me, from the whole CRYPTUS team, for taking your time for coming over here. It was really a big pleasure talking to you, getting some insights about the technology, about 5G, about a lot of things actually. So yeah, we had Thomas and Unica from the Yuser Network, and thank you a lot for joining. I wish you the very best, a great start from your project, and yeah, that everything works fine for you.
Likewise, thank you so much.
Thank you so
It was
much.
a pleasure to talk to you.